The epic begins with the poet invoking the muse to help tell the story of Odysseus, who has struggled to return home after the Trojan War. This request sets the tone for the epic, showing the importance of divine intervention in mortal affairs. It also highlights Odysseus' prolonged journey and the central role of fate. Odysseus is being held captive by the nymph Calypso on the island of Ogygia, where he has spent several years. Calypso has fallen in love with Odysseus and offers him immortality if he stays with her, but he yearns to return to his wife, Penelope, and son, Telemachus. The gods, except Poseidon, gather on Mount Olympus and decide it is time for Odysseus to return home. Athena, in particular, advocates for him, while Zeus sends Hermes to order Calypso to free Odysseus. Poseidon's absence allows the gods to act, as he holds a personal grudge against Odysseus for blinding his son Polyphemus. This moment underscores the delicate balance of power among the gods. Athena, disguised as mentor, visits Telemachus, Odysseus' son, in Ithaca. She encourages him to search for news of his father and assert control over his household, which is overrun by suitors seeking Penelope's hand. Telemachus, still unsure of his place, embarks on his own journey toward manhood, encouraged by Athena's wisdom and support. This marks a parallel quest to Odysseus' own journey home. Telemachus journeys to Pylos to visit King Nestor, and then to Sparta, where King Menelaus and Queen Helen tell him that Odysseus is alive but trapped on Calypso's island. Telemachus learns about the loyalty and love his father inspired in others, which contrasts with the disloyalty of the suitors back in Ithaca. His quest also begins to develop his leadership and resolve. After receiving Hermes' message, Calypso reluctantly agrees to release Odysseus. She helps him build a raft, and he sets out on his journey. Though heartbroken, Calypso acknowledges the gods' will and Odysseus' unyielding desire to return home. Odysseus' resourcefulness and determination are key themes here as he builds his own escape vessel. Poseidon, still angry at Odysseus for blinding his son Polyphemus, wrecks Odysseus' raft in a storm, but with the help of the sea goddess Ino and Athena, he washes ashore on the island of the Phaeacians. Poseidon's relentless fury reminds Odysseus of the cost of defying the gods. Even when faced with the elements, Odysseus' survival reflects his enduring resilience. Odysseus is discovered by Nausicaa, the daughter of King Alcinous. She brings him to the royal palace, where Odysseus receives warm hospitality. Nausicaa, smitten by Odysseus, introduces him to her father's court, where his cleverness in concealing his identity creates suspense. The Phaeacians play a crucial role in his eventual return. During a feast, Odysseus reveals his identity and recounts his adventures since leaving Troy, beginning the long flashback of his travels. His ability to captivate the audience with his tale shows Odysseus' charisma and narrative skill. The flashback structure allows Homer to gradually reveal the full scope of Odysseus' journey. Odysseus recounts his stop at Ismarus, where his men plunder the land of the Cyclones before being driven off. They then encounter the lotus eaters, whose flowers cause forgetfulness, but Odysseus forces his men to leave. These early trials test Odysseus' leadership, showing the dangers of both physical force and temptation. The lotus eaters embody the risk of losing focus on one's goals. Odysseus and his men enter the cave of the Cyclops Polyphemus. The Cyclops traps them and begins eating Odysseus' men. Odysseus blinds Polyphemus and escapes, but curses from the Cyclops bring the wrath of Poseidon. Odysseus' cunning is showcased here, as he tricks Polyphemus by giving a false name. However, his pride leads him to reveal his identity, sparking Poseidon's relentless vengeance. Aeolus, the keeper of the winds, gives Odysseus a bag containing all the winds except the west wind. Odysseus' men, thinking the bag contains treasure, open it, and the winds blow them off course just as Ithaca was in sight. This episode highlights the theme of trust and the consequences of disobedience. It also reinforces the tragic notion of being so close to home but yet so far. The fleet arrives at the land of the Laestrygonians, a race of cannibalistic giants. The Laestrygonians destroy all of Odysseus' ships except for his own, killing many of his men. This is one of the most brutal moments of the journey, demonstrating the random and uncontrollable nature of danger in the world Odysseus navigates. His survival is again an act of both skill and luck. Odysseus and his remaining crew reach the island of the enchantress Circe, who turns his men into pigs. With Hermes' help, Odysseus forces Circe to restore his men. They remain on her island for a year before resuming their journey. Circe's island serves as a place of respite, but also temptation. Odysseus' loyalty to his mission is tested, but his commitment to returning home eventually prevails. Circe instructs Odysseus to visit the underworld and consult the prophet Tiresias. There, Odysseus encounters the shades of the dead, including his mother and fallen comrades, learning important truths about his future. The journey to the underworld is both literal and symbolic, marking a turning point in Odysseus' understanding of mortality, fate, and his role in the world. It deepens his resolve. On their way home, Odysseus' ship passes the Sirens, whose enchanting song lures sailors to their doom. He plugs his men's ears with wax and has himself tied to the mast to listen safely. The Sirens inhabit an island surrounded by the bones of those who have fallen prey to their alluring melodies. The ship also passes between Scylla, a six-headed monster, and Charybdis, a deadly whirlpool, losing 6 men to Scylla. This episode is one of Odysseus' greatest tests of leadership, as he must navigate between inevitable losses and survival. His tactical thinking saves the majority of his crew. Odysseus' men disobey his orders and slaughter the sacred cattle of the sun god Helios. In retaliation, Zeus destroys their ship with a lightning bolt, killing everyone except Odysseus. This moment illustrates the tension between individual will and divine law, as Odysseus' men pay the ultimate price for their disobedience. Odysseus' fate as the lone survivor emphasizes his special connection with the gods. After drifting in the sea for days, Odysseus washes ashore on Ogygia, where he is taken in by the nymph Calypso, who keeps him for several years before the gods intervene to free him. Calypso's offer of immortality is a final test of Odysseus' loyalty to his human life and home. Despite the comfort and safety of her island, Odysseus longs for his mortal existence. The Phaeacians, impressed by Odysseus' story, help him return to Ithaca. Athena disguises him as a beggar so he can assess the situation at home before revealing himself. Odysseus must rely on his wits and patience as he observes the suitors, planning his revenge carefully. His stealthy return allows him to gauge the loyalty of his household. With the help of Telemachus, Odysseus kills the suitors who have been courting Penelope and plotting to take over his kingdom. After proving his identity to Penelope, peace is restored to Ithaca, and Odysseus reclaims his home and family. This final act of reclaiming his kingdom solidifies Odysseus' role as the rightful king. If you enjoyed learning about this classic, consider subscribing to see future videos on timeless classics. Happy learning!